This is Jake Busey, and you're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Hey guys, Ashley Burgess here today, and today we're going to be doing this live stream. It's going to be a casual stream, and we're going to begin with talking about codependency. And I think this is something that many of us deal with. Many of us know that we're dealing with it, we're fully aware of it, and many of us don't. And so we're going to be talking about the signs that you're suffering with codependency. This is going to be a big conversation that I think is going to be very helpful. Many of you might have actually heard the radio show, the live radio show earlier today on USA Radio Network. If you didn't, maybe you might have seen the live footage if you were connected on my Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, social media on Facebook, you could find me there under Ashley Burgess, and you can like the page and you can watch the live feed from the station, the USA Radio Network station. We were talking about, in that particular show, beliefs that hold us back, how these self-sabotaging beliefs get in the way of us creating our reality. They get in the way of us creating the reality we want. And we don't realize how we create these beliefs at a very young age and how they basically set for us the rules of our life, right? It's almost like the government, right? The government has rules and regulations. They have laws. We set the laws, right? And then we create these laws, and then we say that our life's going to be like this, or this is never going to happen for us, or this isn't going to happen this way for us, and then we allow that to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. So check out Facebook if you can find my page. It's either Ashley Burgess or the Perspectives with Ashley Burgess. And maybe if we get a chance, we'll put this into the comment section. So let's start real quick. We're doing a little easy breezy today. Calm, chill, judgment-free zone live stream. I'm only dressed up somewhat because I had to leave the studio. I was in the studio now that everything is Facebook Live, right? There's no jeans and t-shirts like it used to be. I guess it could be, but oh well, so we'll see. Everybody else seems to dress up. But I guess I should, since it is my show. But anyway, here we go. So let's talk about the signs of suffering with codependency. The first thing that I want to talk about is how when we're codependent, we feel responsible for other people's feelings and other people's actions. Okay, we feel responsible for other people's feelings and other people's actions. And it's like, I remember years ago when I would have like an event or like a birthday party. I mean, how many people have had a birthday party and you care about what everybody else cares about the party? Like, I hope they had fun, and I hope they're having fun, and I hope so-and-so was having a good time. And you're not even thinking about the fact that it's your freaking birthday party. Okay, there comes a time when I knew the AC was gonna go out right when I got on this live feed. It's so funny. I'm gonna have to mess with it. Everything's automated nowadays. Hold on a second, guys. I gotta put the AC back on. It is hot. We are in Texas right now. It is about 96, 97 degrees outside, and the AC decided that it was going to switch off, and that's no bueno. So we're going to change that. So let's see if it comes back on. George is manning the live stream, so you'll hear George in the background. We're eventually going to get George a microphone so that he can talk into the microphone. He just gave me some sort of look with his eyes. I think it was the rolling of the eyes, but I'm not really sure, but we'll let that go. I get it. So right now we're roasting in here, so hopefully the AC will come back on. Sorry about that, guys. It's just, you can't do this when it's freaking this hot outside. The AC can't go off in the office. So, okay. So let's talk about how we feel responsible for other people's feelings and actions. And it's like what I was talking about with the birthday party. The AC just came on. Okay, what about the birthday party, about any gathering, about any event? You're worried about what other people are feeling, and you're worrying about how they think, and are they having fun, are they not having fun? And it doesn't stop there, right? It's about everything. So in any relationship, you're worried as to other people's feelings or actions, or worried about their thoughts and how they're feeling about the situation. So it's consistent. It happens when we're with our family, when we're with our friends, significant other, right? And it's great to think about other people. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we shouldn't think about others. We should think about others' feelings. We should care about other people, right? I mean, that's normal. I mean, that makes a good person. So it's not a bad thing to do, the only thing that is really important for you to think about is that in of itself is not bad. That in of itself is good. That in of itself is a good person doing the right thing, caring about other people. But the issue with the codependency component is that you're thinking about other people before you ever think about yourself to a fault. Okay, so it's extreme. And I know that many of you out there know what I'm saying, because you can have somebody really hurt you and take advantage of you and manipulate you and, step over all your boundaries, but you're still wondering if they're okay. You're still worried as to, are they dealing with this appropriately? Are they taking this okay? Are they hurt? What's going through their head? When you've been hurt, you've been manipulated, you've gone through this gaslighting, you've experienced all kinds of different things, love bombing, you've dealt with all kinds of different things, and instead of worrying about yourself and saying, man, I've really been manipulated. I feel like I've been hurt. My feelings have been taken advantage of it. I feel like I've been emotionally exploited. Okay, so instead of thinking about the emotional exploitation, you begin to think about, well, I hope they're okay, and I really hope John's okay. I wonder what's happening. I wonder, and not one time do we think about what's important for us. And so all I'm saying is that, yes, is it important to think about other people? Sure, but not when it comes to a deficit of yourself, where you are literally walking over yourself to be aware of that other person instead of actually taking the time to feel inside of yourself, how do I feel with what just happened? How does it make me feel? Do I feel hurt? Do I feel taken advantage of? How do I really feel? And when we're codependent, and we've been doing this for a long time, and we were kind of raised that way, right, in that family dynamic of ours, we don't ever really think about ourselves. We're constantly thinking about the other person, and we feel as though our value comes from taking care of other people, right? And so if we're not taking care of other people, we feel like we don't have value. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I get value from taking care of other people. If I don't feel like I'm taking care of other people, I don't have any value. And that's the problem with the codependent. It's okay. I've been codependent. I'm a recovering codependent. I'm okay, but I've done it. I recovered from it. But I have to work at it every day, right, to be aware of it. And so what I'm saying is my value is derived from me. I get value derived on how I treat myself, how I live my life, how I live when nobody's looking is the way that I define my value. Now, years ago, yeah, it was about the other person. Years ago, it was about how do I get my dad to give me attention? How do I get my dad to love me, right? And so what would I do? Okay, I'm going to play softball. Okay, the next year, I'm going to play fast pitch. Okay, the next year, I'm going to play in a league, right? Did I really like softball? No. No, I didn't. Did I really like piano? I played that to impress my mom. I didn't like either one of them. I mean, I knew that there was not going to be a career in either one of them, right? You have people that are piano geniuses that are like come out of the womb and they can play better than, Beethoven. Who the hell is going to, it's a hard career. And anybody that's out there as a concert pianist, you know what I'm talking about. Softball, I mean, come on. I mean, unless I'm going to play like in a league or maybe the Olympics, and I was not that good. I mean, I did get most valuable player one year, but the first year I got most improved, which was good. But what I'm saying is I did these things to get my parents to show me love. To get them, for my dad to do something with me. So the idea of playing catch was something that my dad wanted to do, right? I mean, so you think about it, I look back at there was very few things that I did even as a child that I really wanted to do. Yes, I wanted to be a debater, so I did choose debate, and I did do national debate. But also that got me in kudos with my family too. So when you think about it, what are you really doing for yourself? And this began at a very young age. And many of us grew up in toxic environments in our household where we had to jump through hoops to try to figure out how to get love and how to get taken care of. And so you did whatever you had to do, and you would change and you would kind of shift shape to be that person that the other person wanted you to be, at least you thought, to get that same attention, to get that same feeling of love. And then many of us were in kind of that, that blender of emotion when we were dealing with our parents, because we didn't really understand what they were going to do next. So you tried to kind of create a connect the dot thing. Well, if I act this way, then I'll get this. If I act this way, I'll get this. But sometimes you give the good and you get the bad. Sometimes you give the bad, you get the good. So then you're just trying to figure out, what is it that I have to do? And that becomes like your entire thought process is, what do I need to do to get X, Y, Z? Not what do I need to do for myself, but what do I need to do in the outside world to do that? And so many of us have been dealing with this for a long time. And I think that this is something that we all need to be it's not about holding accountable. It's about holding ourselves accountable. It's about being aware of the pain that we're putting ourselves through. So, even in the situation of manipulation, from in a toxic relationship, you're still thinking about what that other person wants, right? Another thing that I think is interesting when it comes to the codependent is how we take on various roles, right? These roles that we take on, these roles that allow us to have visibility and identity in the relationship. And a couple of the roles that many of you have taken on is the caretaker. Okay. How many of you have taken on the caretaker role? Okay. How many of you have taken on the savior role? Very similar roles, very similar. And I find from years in work that most folks started that role a long time ago. So whether mom was a single mom, and you were the caretaker to mom. And so when mom came home from work and she was extra tired, which is obviously a nice thing to do, but you began to be the caretaker even as a young child. Okay? Maybe you became your mom's therapist or counselor, listening to her. Perhaps you became your mom's buddy, right? No longer the kiddo, but you became the buddy, the person that she told everything to. That you probably didn't need to know all that information at such a young age, because that information impressed onto you some of the attributes with which you would not need to grow with. You see what I'm saying? So the toughness of life, probably some of the things you were told about is, perhaps when your father or the man that she had a child with, or your biological father, when he left her, and how much pain that was. And so you took on that role of listening to that. You took on that role of being the advisor when you were just 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid, right? And so we carry that through to our adulthood. And because we've always had that identity, we bring that into our other relationships, and we find relationships where we can do that again and again and again. Not that these are healthy, but that we're used to taking on this particular role. Okay, and that's what I kind of think is very interesting. And when we played the role at a young age, and it's interesting how our feelings depend on them, on other people. If they're happy, you're happy. If you're unhappy, you're unhappy. They're unhappy, you're unhappy. And it's interesting, there's a comment made. It was something like, if mom's unhappy, everybody's unhappy. And that's a very interesting comment, because if you were in a type of toxic dynamic and mom was having trouble a lot and was constantly unhappy, and because she was constantly unhappy, obviously if she's unhappy and yelling and screaming, everybody else isn't really happy. But what else happens as a kid? You feel like you have to take care of mom. And you feel like if I was a better kid, mom wouldn't be angry. If every time mom got angry, mom took off, right? Grabbed her bag, looked around, gave everybody kind of that evil look, and gave the silent treatment to everybody and left. I mean, that would be pretty bad. And you would think that you were part of the reason why mom left. You're not thinking about, okay, dad's over there, he probably said some bonehead thing, or she was on the phone with her mother and her mother said something that set her off. You're too young to figure that out. Black and white thinking, you say, hey, I'm the daughter or I'm the son, that's my mom's leaving, she's unhappy. What did I do to create this reality? And that's something that I really want you to think about. That's something that comes with us into our adult life, and we bring it into us and into our relationships and our future life. So very important stuff. When we return, we're going to take a little quick break. And when we return, we're talking about boundaries in codependency. And anytime anybody has any questions, go on and start putting those in the comments section. We will answer as many as possible today. I'll make sure the AC stays on, because if it doesn't, I don't know. I mean, my brain's not going to work otherwise, but we'll get it going. And we'll answer as many as possible. We talk about boundaries here in a little bit, people pleasing here in a little bit as well. And so if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, go on and ask us some questions, and let's go there. If you're watching on Facebook and you want the YouTube experience, just go and search YouTube and put in Ashley Burgess, AShleyBerges, and just subscribe and start watching it there. Vice versa, if you're on YouTube and you want to check out Facebook, stay with us on YouTube, but also like us on Facebook. So you can like us at Ashley Burgess, the same handle here on YouTube, or you can like Perspectives with Ashley Burgess, or you can like them both. So stay tuned. We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about lost identity, and myself here in this casual live stream will be back, and well, I guess I'll be back in 2 shakes. How do you connect with yourself every day? How do you sit there and go, okay, I'm playing this role today, or I'm doing this, but how do I really stay will? How do I stay centered?
Yeah. Funny you say like playing characters. I think the key to finding a character is to understand who you are within the character.
Good.
So you're kind of forced to connect with yourself when you explore a character. You're like, well, what is it about me that exists? What is it about the character that exists in me? So when you travel that line, you have to introduce yourself to those aspects, whatever they may be, whether it's like the crazed lunatic or whether it's, the doting lover or whatever. Like, how do you find that within yourself? And so you constantly reconnect. I think acting is a real exercise in reconnecting with oneself.
Are you currently in a toxic relationship and unsure what the next day will bring? Have you often wondered if there's more to life than this? Do you suffer from self-esteem issues that you've had since you were a young child? Have issues or have difficulty speaking with your family? Do you feel surrounded by self-centered people? Seems as though you're always giving and they're always taking. If you've answered yes to any of these questions, you need some answers. The 10-day challenge to live your true life gives you the knowledge and techniques for creating boundaries in your life that help us to deal with family, as well as dealing with those narcissistic and toxic people in your life. It offers the insight into understanding and overcoming your self-esteem issues, and to begin to see for the first time your amazing value. You owe it to yourself to find the power within you. Hey guys, Ashley Burgess back today. Today we've been talking about codependency and the signs that you may be suffering with codependency. Many of us know it. Many of us are aware of it. Many of us just don't know how to change it. Some of us aren't aware of it. Some of us were taught a lot of this, and some of us grew up in the dynamic, the parental upbringing dynamic, like I spoke about just a few minutes ago, where we conformed and did what we needed to do to get the love and support that we needed to get from our family, and we knew that we had to do it one way or another. And so finding our own independent voice was just not an option. Most of us didn't even think that we have an independent voice. I mean, I remember growing up, and I had a fairly good family dynamic. Was there issues? Yeah, there were issues. But the thing that was interesting is I look back, and for me, dealing with situations in my family, I dealt with the things that my family didn't know. I dealt with the things that they were never taught. So what they taught me was what they knew. Was it always the right thing? No. Was it always the truth? No. Was it always the best thing for me? No. And I look back at that and I realize, you know, there's a lot of dynamics that I followed. So many of us don't realize that when it comes to our parents, you know, like I identify with my mom because, you know, my mom's a woman, you know, I was a girl, you know, and so I identified with her and I watched her do what she did around my dad. And I watched her act a certain way and she would placate. And it was interesting because it was almost like she didn't always have the voice. And my mom, you know, now has more of a voice now, but I look back at that and I realized that I learned from that, but then I also looked and learned from the way that my dad was. And I think that's very interesting. We'll have to do a live stream just on that sometime and we can all talk about our family dynamics, you know what I'm saying? But when we are codependent, we don't have any boundaries in our life. Okay? We don't. Or very few. And the reason why we don't is because we have this codependency and we don't really know exactly what we stand for. Because nobody ever told us that we're allowed to be ourselves. I mean, think about it. Like, I look back at my upbringing and nobody ever sat me down and said, hey, Ashley, you're an individual, you're a unique person, you can stand for whatever you want to, you can believe whatever you want to, it's up to you, you're independent, you know, here you go, here's your independence. No, not at all. And so I took on characteristics of everybody kind of in the household, and there was some that I obviously was very independent about, but I had to really look and understand what my beliefs were. And that took years and years and years. That took out of college. Like, I got out of college and I realized after all these toxic relationships, I'm back in another one. I'm like, what is going on here? And I realized that I didn't know what I believed in. I didn't know what I stood for. And I had to figure that out because until I figure that out, I have no boundaries. Because I have nothing to have boundaries for. I mean, think about it. If you have no land, you need no fences, right? If I have no land, I need no boundaries, no walls, no fence lines to put up because I don't have any land to have. So when you think about it, your values and beliefs are the land, right? And the fences are the boundaries. And I'm not talking about throwing the grenade over the fence line. I joke around about that a lot of times. When you have the boundary, you're like, whoa, incoming. It's not about that. It's about, hey man, I'm going to stand by this. This is something that this is a non-negotiable. I am not going to negotiate about this with you to get you to stay around me so that I can have you so that I don't feel lonely, right? So I can have you because I'm not abandoned. So I can have you because I feel that my value depends on you fucking liking me. And I don't think that's right? That's the key. And that's something that I think is so important. Because when we're codependent, we don't realize that we have so much value within us, but we're forgetting that. We're totally forgetting that. It's like having, a 100-carat diamond sitting on a table, and you use it as a rock to hold down papers because you don't realize the value of it. Well, I mean, that's us, right? That's who we are. And most of us, we are bright as a diamond. We don't shine. We don't see it. We don't look at it. Because we've been taught that the diamonds are all the other people, not us. So let's start looking. George has been so kind to give me his phone. So I have two phones. Well, thank you. So I'm looking at Facebook and I'm looking at YouTube right now, and it's really weird, like looking like me into the camera and then looking down and seeing me in the camera. It's like, okay, this is kind of weird. But anyway, it's great to hear from some of y'all, from everybody. Pia, that's great to hear from you. It's awesome to hear from you. Paxton, great to see you. This is great that some folks are in from, Paris, Chicago, awesome. Santa Cruz, Hugh, great to see you. Deb, glad to help, glad to see you. Pia, let's see, it's me, but is it normal to think about others or to not think about others? Well, I mean, it's normal for us to think about others, and do we care or not care, and we try to help out, but what I'm trying to get at is the fact that it's not healthy for us to be in a relationship that's unhealthy, where we're always thinking about the other person's feelings instead of our own. And so we make their feelings a distraction, and we distract ourselves from the true reality, right? And then what we're doing is we're avoiding the fact that we actually have true feelings. Because remember, as the codependent, we're engaged on other people's feelings all the time, and that's where we derive our value, when that's not at all true, right? Amanda, great to see you. Giselle, great to see you. Why can't leave your unfaithful husband? So a lot of us, okay, so if you find that your husband is unfaithful and you wonder why you can't leave, that's a great question. I mean, okay, a lot of people, it could be financial. A lot of people, it could be the fact that you've accustomed to this. It's overwhelming to leave, right? Some of us will deal with the unfaithful, right? In the fear of what would happen if we left it. Because one of the biggest things that I tell my clients, they say, well, I want to get out of this relationship now. My husband's unfaithful. This is happening. I got to get out of it. I need to go. I got to get out of it now. Well, I agree. We need to make some changes, but right at this moment in time is not the right time, because we have to figure out who we are first. We have to identify ourselves first. We have to figure out our morals, our beliefs, our standards, what we stand for. We got to get to know ourselves. And then we begin to know why we're actually wanting to leave. Because if we leave too quickly, and we didn't get right what we need to get right, we're going to have regret, and we're going to ask to come back, because we don't really have that safety net, right? We don't have the safety net of knowing ourselves, right? So if we jump out of the relationship that we've identified ourselves from for a long, long time, and that is our identity, if we have not created our identity as our own unique individual, then we jump out of that relationship and we feel like we have nothing. We feel like we've lost our identity. So we have to cultivate our own identity. And that might be the reason why you haven't left. Right? I mean, that could be the reason. The fear as well. And that fear of the unknown. Paxton, good comment. The toxic people are worried about their boundaries that they say I violated, but I'm not concerned about my boundaries that they have violated. Interesting scenario here. So obviously, when we have boundaries and they're important to us and somebody else violates them, right? That's not cool. That's not cool. So what do we do in that situation? How do we deal with that situation? And, it's like, okay, I can violate your boundaries. I can violate you. But when you try to do that to me, I have a problem. And I think that we have to look at this as a two-way street. At one way or another, if your boundaries are not being respected, disrespect on many levels isn't going to work. And if both of you, if they feel like you're disrespecting them and you feel like they're disrespecting you, there needs to be a really good conversation here. The only problem is that the conversation will work if both people are listening and both people are actually aware and cognitive that they hold responsibility, right? The problem is that sometimes when you get into these relationships, some people don't want to take responsibility, right? Some people, it's not their fault, it's everybody else's fault. It's not their problem, it's your problem. And that's where a lot of times when we try to explain something to somebody, especially if you're dealing with somebody that might have narcissism, there's other options as well, it can be very tough because they're not willing to take on that responsibility, right? Because they see it as you are the responsible party, it is not them. And so if you feel like you're hitting the wall on discussion and you feel like it's not getting through to them, that's when you have to make a decision. And I know some of you might say, well, hey, Ashley, this is a family member, okay? You need to decide how much you want to deal with this family member. You need to see about how much time you want to be around them and how much you want to explain yourself. But at one point in time or another, we've got to decide how much energy are we going to expend on this relationship. And if you're willing to take responsibility for your actions, I don't want to engage in anybody in any relationship that's not willing to take responsibility for theirs. And that's something that I live by. Anything outside of that, not cool. David, great to hear from you. Love your videos. Awesome. You're the best. Thank you so much. God bless you too. Let's see. Summer. Wow, eye-opening. Okay, great. Relationships with mom. Yeah, when we're dealing with these types of relationships, a lot of times we don't see it. You know, one of the first things that I hear in a lot of sessions when I ask somebody about their mother, especially when I ask both female and male clients about their mother and their father, because both of those parents impacted us to a great deal. But when I ask, I can tell the first response from some people is, "Oh, they're great. They were the greatest parents. I have nothing to share about that. I don't want to, I don't want to say anything negative about my parents." It's not about a roast, here in session. It's about, well, we got to talk about what really happened. We got to understand the dynamic. We got to understand the impact that they had on you so that we understand the impact they had, so that you understand the impact they had on you and the impact that impact has on your life as an adult, right? And that's the thing that I think is so important, right? And I think that also we got to look back when we're talking about boundaries, and I was answering that question before. When we've been doing things for so long for other people for so long, a lot of times we might not know what we want, right? We've been trying to people please and we've been trying to be liked. And a lot of times when we're trying to be liked, right, we'll do anything to be liked. Even if somebody walks all over us. Even if somebody doesn't give a shit. Even if somebody literally, you're over there respecting them and they're constantly taking away from you. And that's not cool. It's not a two-way street. Deb, good to hear from you. I like that. I just figured out that you were trying to placate other people and you feel like you had no value, the caretaker, and keeping mom happy. And a lot of us went through that cycle, keeping one of those family members happy, trying to jump through the hoops to be the best kid, right? Well, if I just do this, then mom will love me. If I just do that, then dad will go and play catch with me, right? I mean, that's the key. And it's interesting, like, you look at life and you look back at those times, and I find that there were good times and bad times in my childhood. But, when I look at some of those times, I realize that most of the time I wasn't living for me. I remember, like, I dressed a certain way to get respect from my family. I chose certain things to wear because that's really what they wanted me to wear. It's like, I remember when I was growing up and I was kind of a tomboy. I was playing softball. I was playing fast pitch softball. I mean, come on. And I was in track and I was cross country. I did basketball team. And I remember growing up, and I remember one of the things about that was my mom wanted me to wear makeup. She's like, all the other kids in middle school were wearing makeup. I didn't want to wear makeup. I mean, who the hell wanted to wear makeup at that age, right? And I get it. I know that some of you out there wanted to wear makeup. Nothing against it. It's all cool. I didn't want to wear it, okay? I didn't see the reason for it. And I remember, I think my mom was trying to help me to some degree. And I remember being in debate, and I think I was a sophomore, and I still wasn't wearing makeup. I know. I get it. It's old school, right? But I remember this girl that came on one of the debate tournaments, and she was just there. She wasn't a debater. I mean, come on. But she was there, and she was on for one tournament because she was taking speech class. And I remember she made fun of me about the no makeup thing, and it really hurt my feelings. And I remember I looked back at that, and my debate coach had said, "Hey, see if you can get some blush or something from somebody." And the girl had all this makeup. I mean, like, now that I look back at the kind of makeup that this girl had, it was like Yves Saint Laurent and stuff like that in like high school. And I used it, and she had made a big stink about how this makeup was expensive. And talk about feeling like, about that small. You know what I'm saying? I had no idea about makeup being expensive or any of that stuff because I just wasn't something I was into. But it's interesting how, I get to see what my mom was trying to do, but at the same time, I didn't want to do it. And there was a few things that I created boundaries, and one of that was the makeup thing. I was like, I'm not doing this. And I look back at that, it's kind of funny. But at the same point, You know, how many of those things did we not do when we were kids, right? Like, I didn't do the makeup thing. There were a lot of things that I didn't do. But there was a lot of things, there was a lot more that I did. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot more things that I did. Like I remember going to football games with my dad because he wanted to go, and that was a connection with us. Did I like the games? No. I mean, I like football okay, but I think it's pretty violent. But I'm okay with it. I'm not downing on football. I know some of you out there are like, oh my God, you know. But what I'm saying is that I really feel like it wasn't my favorite thing, but I chose it because I wanted to spend time. And so, you know, that goes into the concept of lost identity. But when we were kids, we didn't have an identity yet either. So it's like, how do you lose something you never had, right? So that's the key right there. And so many of us are like saying, hey, I think I lost my identity in this last relationship, and this last relationship with this narcissist or this BPD or this histrionic, and I feel like I've lost my identity. But then a lot of some of the same clients I look at and say, but did you have an identity before the last relationship? And that's what we need to talk about. And this is a judgment-free zone. It took me a while to figure out my own identity, guys. I figured it out, okay? I wouldn't be able to be up here and have this conversation if I hadn't. And it's hard. It's hard work. Diane, good to hear from you. Summer, great to hear from you. I've been stuck in a relationship with someone who has borderline. Typically, I don't put up with someone like this and have had no problems moving on. I can't figure out why I'm stuck now. Any idea? Summer, good question. I mean, the thing about the borderline is this, and I am not judging one bit, but I'm just going to explain it. When you are with the borderline and you're let's just say that you're codependent with a borderline, and I have a video coming out on that soon. The codependent and the borderline connection. So we're going to be doing a series on that, but we have a video coming out on that soon. It's already been done. It's in the can. We're going to release it here soon. But we're not going to catch and release, but we're going to release it here soon. But the thing about this is that you're connected with this relationship for many reasons. I mean, I'm sure the relationship to some degree you connected with that person. There's different facets where you connected. But at the same point, you're trying to get them to understand you. Okay, and the thing about the BPD and the codependent is both of you have two different sets of thoughts and beliefs and two different ways of doing things, okay? And your mind is different than their mind, and their thoughts are different than your thoughts, but both of you have these ways of doing things, okay? And so you're trying to tell the person suffering with BPD how you want to be treated and who you are. And the way that they hear that is different than what you're saying, and the way they compute it is different. And then they're telling you stuff, and the way you connect with it and the way you compute it is different. And many of us are over-explaining. We're trying to explain till we're blue in the face. We're hoping that the other person's going to get it. They're hoping you're going to get it, and you're hoping they're going to get it. Okay, and what I'm saying here is that I've told this before, and I think I'm pretty independent in my way of thinking on this, because I don't think you'll hear this on any other channel. I'm pretty sure it's almost like, you know, like when you go to a foreign country. So let's say like you're in Japan, right? You're hanging out in Japan, and let's just say that everybody's speaking Japanese, right? And there's a conversation you walk into, and you got one guy speaking Japanese and one guy speaking German, right? And you're sitting there listening to this conversation. Nobody's getting anything taken care of. Nobody can understand one another. And the other person's just talking louder. Okay? Does anything get solved? No. That's the combination of the codependent and the borderline. You heard it here. I would love to say that one person's going to get it, and they're going to look at you and they're going to say, man, God, she's so right. She's really right. And I wish that you could see the other side of the coin too, but it's not going to happen. And so that's the thing, is that we're holding out for that false hope that eventually the other person's going to get what we understand, what we say, and what we're thinking, and they're going to understand, and then they're going to trust us, and we're going to have this awesome relationship, but it's probably not going to happen. And so that's the key, is that when we're speaking different languages, it's not going to be understood. Okay, so when it comes to the codependent, we got to start, you know, speaking the language and realizing of the independent. Okay, and the person that's suffering with BPD has to realize that they can work on themselves as well, and they can become more independent, and they can work to minimize, you know, the symptoms of BPD, and really get to master their feelings and control their feelings and emotions, and understand and be able to see things from a new perspective. but both people have to really work on themselves, and usually it's a separate thing. But I can understand, Summer, why it's so hard, because that's why so many people are in the relationship. And that's something that I specialize in, helping people understand how to understand the relationship, why you got in it, how it began, right? And it's not a judgment. It's just, I'm telling you the truth on all levels. And then once you understand the truth and you begin to accept the truth, it makes it a lot easier. So that's really normally how we deal with it. Diane, great to see you from Louisiana. Awesome. That's great. Louisiana. I love Louisiana. David, great to see you. Greetings from Monterey. Awesome. Summer, awesome, from Oregon. Perfect. Thank you for watching. Amanda from Savannah, Georgia. That's awesome. You know, I've never been to Savannah. I've never been there.
Savannah, Georgia?
Yeah. I've been to Atlanta. Georgia. Hotlanta. I've been to Atlanta. There's a lot going on in Atlanta. It has gotten really crazy.
I bet.
Really crazy. The entertainment industry, you got Tyler Perry out there now with a huge studio complex. A lot of people are working out there too, and there's a lot of acting ability to get acting careers out there too, if anybody's looking out there in Atlanta. Addie's mom. I love that. Read about trauma bonding. We actually just did a video earlier today in studio about trauma bonding, and that's going to be a great video coming out as well. It was on trauma bond, love bombing, and narcissistic abuse. Okay, so that'll be a good one. I want to do more on those too. We actually did a poll. Let's see. I'm going to shout out to everybody on Facebook here in 1 second too. We actually did a poll, and I want to ask y'all a question real quick, and I'll go back to. I'm going to ask y'all a question now. Okay. Let me find it. So I took a photo of the said question. So on YouTube, if you're on YouTube, I want y'all to go check it out. It's the first time that I'm using the community tab. So if you go to that community tab on the YouTube, you know, you have the home, videos, playlists, community tab, right? Community tab.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I did a poll for the first time, and we've gotten about 545, 550 votes so far. And I said, what subject matter would you like me to discuss on next week's live show? So you know we do the live show on Tuesdays, and we really haven't figured out the exact time, because some of y'all are in Europe and you're like, can you do it earlier? And I get it. And then some of y'all are like, hey, we're here in the US or we're in Mexico and we're at work. Can you do it a little later? So we're kind of stuck trying to figure where we're going to do that, okay? And you know Rodrigo, you've heard Rodrigo in the background. We're going to, you know, he's there, but we got to figure out what time we're going to really do the show. We're definitely doing the show this coming Tuesday, and so this is the question. We might not be doing it this coming Saturday, but we'll be back the following Saturday, because I have to do a conference down in Houston, actually, this coming up weekend. So the question is, which subject matter would you like me to discuss? Also, if you'd like to come on the show. So what we're going to start doing in the future is we're going to bring people on via Skype, right? You can talk about whatever we're talking about, real world, real life stuff, right? And that's what matters, because it's a community and it's a judgment-free zone. So if you're willing to come up and talk about, hey, you know, I'm talking about my codependency, or I'm talking about what I went through with narcissistic abuse, or I'm talking about what I went through in my latest breakup, or what have you, as long as you feel comfortable, we're not going to obviously exploit you at all. I have a show called The Celebrity Perspective on Amazon Prime, where I have celebrities come on there and talk about their real life stuff. And it's not scripted. And in no way, shape, or form that any one of those people feel that they were at all putting themselves out there. They felt very good about what they talked about, and some of the stuff was pretty deep, really deep. So if you overcoming narcissistic abuse, recognizing and putting an end to gaslighting, or ending a toxic relationship cycle, you can email me and tell me your story. You can find my email address. The reason I don't put it out there is just because I don't want to get spam. It's not because I'm making it difficult, but to find my email address, you can go to my website, ashleyburgess.com, ashleyberges.com. Click on that contact page. Boom, you can send it from there. Also, you can go to the contact page, and there's an email on there too as well. I think it's perspectiveswithashleyburgess@gmail or something like that. So check that out. And so right now, as far as subject matters are concerned, overcoming narcissistic abuse for the next live show got 22% votes so far. The next one is recognizing gaslighting. 19%, and ending the toxic cycle, 59%. So vote on that. Let me know what you're thinking, because it's either narcissistic abuse, recognizing gaslighting, or ending the toxic cycle. So choose one. Let me know, because that's important, because we want to talk about what you want to talk about. And I mean, otherwise you're just like, what am I watching? Not really interesting then, right? So, okay, so let's look over, we'll go back to YouTube. Let's talk about Facebook real quick. May, great to see you. May Lovejoy, thanks for sharing this. Nailed it, awesome. I really appreciate you. May is awesome. She's got some really great stuff going on, really helping some folks in the community. Joe, hey, how you doing? Can only watch for a few minutes, been helpful, perfect, great to have you. Yeah, May's telling, hey, the AC, don't leave Ashley hanging. I like that. Thank you. Hey, T-Eric, great to see you. Love you, friend, as well. Will Turner, thanks for addressing and sharing the topic. Thank you, Will, for tuning in. Holly, thank you. Really loving this, Ashley. Perfect. Thank you, Holly. I really appreciate you and love you too. Joe, awesome. So glad that you were able to tune in, and I appreciate it. If you have any questions, go on and put those in the comment section there. Let's go back over to YouTube real quick. Man, your phone gets hot.
Is it?
Man.
It must be I don't know, maybe the video playing.
It's all the questions. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It is. Okay, it looks like Hildy 2. My mother is against me and she's a narcissist. I'm the scapegoat child. It's very complicated. I know her mother was also a narcissist. I'm glad I never had kids because, okay, yeah, I catch myself acting like them to some extent. Well, so that's the problem. I mean, your mom's a narcissist. Her mom was a narcissist. If they're not willing to take responsibility, which is a calling card of the narcissist, unfortunately, someone's got to take it, right? And so it's about how much time do you have to hang out with this person? And I know it's your mom and it's hard, but how much time? And can you use gray rock method? And can you just, what I've found is around the narcissist, don't give them anything to use ammo with you against. Just don't. Don't tell them about your deepest, darkest secrets. Don't tell them about your happiest things. Don't tell them about, hey, I got this job offer. Don't talk about it. I mean, because if you do talk about it, unfortunately, what are they going to do? Oh, I don't know about you getting that job. You know, they're going to put thoughts into your head that are going to screw you up.
Yep.
And it's sad because you just want to get praised, but that goes back to the codependency. Who cares if mom thinks you're great? I mean, I had to work on it really hard to stop jumping hoops for my dad. My dad and I get along well now. You know why? Because I don't jump any hoops anymore. And I mean, I have a whole way of doing that. I have a whole way of how to walk you through that, because there's a whole way and reasoning of how to stop doing it. You don't just stop doing it. You actually have to learn techniques and tricks and tips, and you have to get to the heart and soul of the issue. And once you do, there's no more hoops anymore. I jump through hoops for me now. Okay, not for him. And I love him, but no, he doesn't jump through hoops for me. I mean, that's crazy. But what I'm saying is that I also am aware of the energy that I give people and how much I'm giving. And I really look at myself and I ask myself, how am I feeling in this situation? And if I'm not feeling great in this situation, then I got to think about what is it that's causing that, right? That's a great comment, though, Hildy. I really appreciate that, because you're right on. You got to be aware of the fact that she's not going to take responsibility for her actions. And it's sad. Thank you, Hugh. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Very nice of you. Finally free. My whole life was living like this, and I am almost 50. I was adopted for financial reasons and never felt loved. I am struggling because I am married to a narcissist for 30 years. Now we are separated. Okay, that's a tough place to be at. I mean, that's tough. And my heart goes out to you. Yeah, so you went through pretty much a loveless childhood, and then you married a narcissist. So now it's time to finally figure out who you are. And, you know, time is of the essence for all of us, right? Doesn't matter how old or how young you are, you got to figure it out sooner than later. So it's about trying to figure out what is it that defines you, who are you, right? And that's why I wrote that book, The 10-Day Challenge to Live Your True Life, is that it's not nowadays there's a lot of books out there that are like just simple platitudes, like do this and you'll be fine. Say this affirmation, it's going to change your life, right? Well, I would love to believe that, but it's not true. I can't add a bunch of affirmations into my brain when I have a negative broken record going. So now I just got a bunch of crap music, like, and it's like 5 songs going on at one time, and that's not cool. Okay, that doesn't work. So I wrote the book to walk through how to identify yourself. The whole concept of that book, and I wrote it, was after I take the year off from the last relationship, gave back the last engagement ring, figured out that I was part of the problem, not the solution, took a year off from dating and a year off from sex. Okay, everybody, okay, yes, you can sigh, you can freak out. But I did, and it was the right thing for me to do. It was the right thing for me. It's not necessarily for you, but it really worked for me. And I was able to really take a step back. And years after that, I was able to write this book about how to find you. And so this book is about that. And that's how you begin to find yourself. And the simplest things are the ways that actually get us to what we're supposed to do, because really life is really simple. We've just had all this crap put onto us. And we put it on ourselves for so long. I can definitely help you with. And it'll take time, but it'll be worth it and so valuable, because you'll learn stuff that you never learned, and you'll get to a point where you'll see the value within yourself, and that in itself would be so rewarding. So, I look forward to hearing more from you, because what you're going through is what a lot of people are going through, okay? And you're obviously, you have a unique story and your upbringing and your situation, and you're very unique, but there's some people that are going through similar situations, right? Similar situations, and we can really help. So let me know if I can help, and I look forward to hearing more of your perspective as well. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to answer some more questions here. I'm going to try to keep it in order. I'm going to go back to where I was here, and we will be back. We'll answer some more questions. We'll look at Facebook too, answer some more questions, and let's have some fun. We're talking more about codependency and more on this live stream. Ashley Burgess, myself, will be back here in 2 shakes.
Well, girlfriends and myself were talking about this. Is chivalry dead?
No.
Or okay, really?
Right.
Because I was on an airplane, picking up my suitcase, putting it on the overhead compartment. Mm-hmm. Nobody offered to help. What's that? Is it because we're too independent now and guys don't know where they stand?
It might be because you seem powerful, and to them that you seem like a powerful woman, so they don't really want to know. They don't even know if you need help. Maybe they even feel weird asking. Some people feel, maybe she's going to think I'm hitting on her. But I found out.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, because sometimes it's like, oh, she's going to think I'm hitting on her. I don't want to do that. The way that I think chivalry isn't dead, and I think the coolest thing you do is to say, hey, I need help. Or hey, and you just look at it, do you mind? And people will normally give you a hand and be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
and
you're
because
right.
people love to help other people,
Yeah.
but they don't want to jump in. Ashley Burgess here, and we're talking about codependency. We've been talking about the loss of identity. And earlier, remember, I was talking about the loss of identity and how, when we grew up in the dynamic as the codependent, we didn't have an identity. We were we were everything to everyone. Okay? And so that's one of the things that I want us to really focus on, is that because of that, we don't want to rock the boat. Right? We don't want to rock the boat. We want to conform. We want to be everything to everyone. We have a difficult time speaking up for ourselves, and we haven't done it either. So, practice makes perfect, and the less that we've done, the problematic it becomes. I want to answer a few more questions, and we have a few more minutes here. Addie's mom, great. Oh yeah, Texas, from Texas. definitely if somebody's taking the kids, I think that you have probably some sort of legitimate legal action. Unfortunately, you probably need to get the authorities involved if he's taking the kids and he's not going to do anything formal. If they're yours and his kids, I don't know if that's legal. So I think that there might need to be some law enforcement that might get involved here at this point. And maybe if you can find someone legal-wise that can help you as far as a lawyer. Some people will begin the process various ways. I know that there's a way if he does have financial means to get to basically promise something to the lawyer, but I know that this is a horrible situation to be in. But one of the biggest things is that I don't think that he can take your kids away, and so that's something that you want to think about and peruse as much legal information as you can from local authorities and see about various services as well. I'm going to look online for that, and I'll try to upload some stuff for you as well. Summer, Hugh, great to hear from y'all. Jazz, I recently met someone and quickly fell in love, but now he is distant. Okay, how distant, and is he responding back to you? I'd probably need a little bit more information to understand that fully. But one of the things that I've found in relationships is that we have a really difficult time talking to people that we actually care about, like we actually have feelings for. And so like trying to message them or call them is like this rehearsed weird thing. And so I think that in life, sometimes we just need to know the truth. And I think all of us do. And so I think eventually just kind of asking, but I don't have enough information on that to know. I don't know if you're being ghosted, or I don't know if the person is playing a manipulation game with you, or interested, not interested. So there's a lot of information I would need to know, but I definitely feel that something's not being said, and something's they're leaving something to be. You have information that you need to know that you don't have at this time. I hope I can help you more in the future, Jazz. Thanks for reaching out. Oh yeah, great. Sun Primer in from Frankfurt. Great to see you, Amanda. Great to see you, Faye. Good day from Australia, Ashley. Oh, awesome. I really appreciate it. Really enjoy your perspective and how you explain things, especially about identity. Help me so much. You're awesome. You are awesome. Addie's mom, Lubbock, Texas, in Denver. Great to see you. Summer, Denver. Great to see. Oh, you love Denver. Great to see you. Amanda, same here. I love that. That is awesome. Great to see you. We all have a codependent element. We're programmed for dependence, but not toxic codependence. Very well said. Love that comment. Let's see. Rockin' Roberta, great to see you. JB, New Zealand, great to see you. Let's give Ashley a thumbs up. Rockin' Roberta, I love that. Okay, thank you. And let me see if there's any other questions that we can answer. JB, New Zealand. Let's see. While a friendship of the type we had while together would be amazing, realistic, I think it's way too unlikely she would act in a mutually healthy way. We're still Facebook friends, but I would like to unfriend her. What's the point if we're unlikely to ever see each other again? I don't want to signal weakness that I'm still being impacted by her. If you want to unfriend somebody, unfriend them. You know what I mean? That's my thing. But the deal is that, how often do you really look at as far as everybody's Facebook profile, I think though if somebody did really hurt you, she said a lot of harsh stuff in the final contact. I think if you're not friends and this person was toxic and harsh to you, I don't see the need to keep the Facebook open for them. I don't see why. I think Facebook is supposed to be our friends, right? It's supposed to be people that we like. As far as friendship-wise, I think that if somebody is not your friend in real life, I don't know if they should have access to your social media. I just don't feel that way, right? I feel that social media needs to be people that have shown you that they're there for you. And I think when somebody has shown you that they're not there for you, I think that's 3 strikes, you're out. And so my thing is, take them off the Facebook. You know, I mean, it doesn't hurt. I mean, I feel that if you feel extreme and you need to do that, then you need to do that. It's just like with clients who are breaking up in relationships and they say, well, do I need to go no contact? Yes, you need to go no contact. And then they say, well, what do I do? Do I need to block them? You only block them if you need to block them. If you need to block them and you don't want to see any text messages from them, then you need to block them if it's going to affect you. So if that person having access to your social media is going to affect you, then you have to think about that, because there's no reason to be triggered by something when you don't have to be. And so you need to think about what's best for you. It's not about what she's going to think about you defriending her on Facebook. It's about how you feel. Again, we got to get out of the codependency thought process and say, you know what? Don't need it. Right? Don't want to be triggered by this. Don't want to deal with this. So JB, I hope this has helped you, because I think this is a valuable information for many of you out there dealing with social media. What do you do when you break up with somebody? What do you do when somebody's been toxic to you? What do you do when somebody has been manipulative to you? Do you let them stay on your social media? Do you follow them? Do you keep following them? Do you keep them as friends? I mean, there's got to be some line we draw in the sand, right? I mean, but it depends on how much is going to trigger you. I have worked with people, not many, but I've worked with people in the past that have different value systems than I do. Okay, they don't believe in the same stuff I do. That's why we don't work together anymore. But I keep them on Facebook. Do I comment on their Facebook? No. Do I look at their Facebook? No. But do I keep them on Facebook? Yeah. Because it's not a big deal one way or another. You know what I'm saying? But that's my opinion. But that is somebody that we didn't work out working together because our values were different, right? It wasn't like a relationship that I was in that was a romantic relationship where somebody hurt my feelings, or a friendship. So you kind of got to think about that and think about what you want, because again, that's what this whole show is about. It's about what you want, and we can think about other people, but we got to think about ourselves first so that we can get healthy. We're trying to get healthy here, right? Hope that has helped, JB. Rock and Roberta, great to hear from you. Katerzin, I don't want to like wreck your name, and I apologize. Katerzina. Okay, I really hope I didn't mess up your name. You'll have to spell it for me. And I appreciate you tuning in. Katerzina says, I finished a relationship with a person with BPD 5 months ago and still thinking about her. I have a problem with trust to another person. Also, I have no love in me. Okay, well, the thing is here is that you have problems with trust. Either those started before or after. Those either started before the relationship, this last relationship, or they've always been with you, or they kind of started with this relationship. You feel as though you have no love in you. I got it, but it's based on the fact that you haven't gotten over this past relationship. And you haven't gotten over it because you probably think about it all the time, and you're really hurt, and you have a lot of resentment and anger about it as well, and you feel upset about it. So there's a lot of reasons, and you don't understand how you got into that relationship to begin with, so there's a lot of questions, right? Not many answers. So all these questions need to be answered, and these are things that I really work on with clients all the time, because this is a big game changer, because in order to have trust, we have to deal with all the mistrust from the past. In order to have trust with other people, we have to trust ourselves, and we have to overcome the resentment and anger that we have in the past. Also, in order to have love, we have to unconditionally love ourselves first. If we don't unconditionally love ourselves, we cannot spread the love. And if we feel like we've been hurt, not going to happen unless we get over it and start working it. So we have to just deal with the relationship and get over it. And I know you can, but it takes time and effort and work. And I definitely know you have it within you. It's just finding that. Let's see. Terry, did you talk about codependency and BPD? Yes, I have a little bit. I have a video coming out as well, BPD and codependency, and you'll be able to find that here soon on the YouTube channel. I will also try to post that on Facebook as well. Yeah, and I talk about, it's the intro video on BPD and codependency, and it's kind of like the things that happen, right? The reasons why we find ourselves in the relationship. So very powerful stuff. And what we'll do is maybe we'll do a live stream before that one drops, and we can talk about that. That'll be good. JB, thank you so much. Really appreciate you tuning in. Diane, thank you so much. Very about the information for unfriending people on Facebook. So this is good. And then last but not least, Victoriella from Sweden, working hard to break my codependency. I will probably always attract toxic people and understand along the way that I have to change my own behavior. That's the only thing I can change. Okay, there you go. You're right. Thank you, Terry. And that's right. The only thing we can change is us. Okay, and that's the whole enchilada. When folks come in for therapy, when folks come in for coaching, they say, well, so-and-so's doing this and this is happening, and I feel it and I understand the pain, but we can't change them. Okay? We cannot change. We can change us. We can change our emotions, our feelings, how we deal with it, what we will and won't deal with. And some of the way we change ourselves, the other person might change a little bit, but it's not direct. And we have to train other people how we want to be treated. Okay? So we have to look at that. We have to realize the only thing that we can do is work on ourselves and make the changes to ourselves. And those changes are what I think is extremely valuable. And once we do this, bam! All of a sudden our entire life changes. Okay, everything. All good, all better, because we know what we're going to stand up for and we know what we want in our life. Thank you so much for everybody tuning in to YouTube. I appreciate you so much. We're going to put some links up here in just a little bit for the website. We'll put up some of the links for the Facebook so that you can also connect with Facebook and be able to start liking those pages as well. And that will allow you to watch the USA Radio Network live show at USA Radio Network. It's a syndicated radio show, but they do not have the technology we have here. Okay, so they can't go out on YouTube and everything else. They just don't have it. So eventually I'll talk them into getting it, but they don't have it yet. So in the meantime, it'd be great if you do subscribe to that, because then you can, if you do like, I guess it's not subscribe on the Facebook. In the meantime, it's okay. We're going to get through this. Okay, codependency is codependency, but guess what? Knowledge is power. I hope this has helped you. I hope this video has helped you. I hope the Q&A has helped you. I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. By the way, remember, it's going to be Tuesday afternoon Central Standard Time. And if you can answer that question on YouTube as to what you want me to talk about, that would be great. And also in the future, if you'd like to come on a show, do reach out to me. Go to ashleyburgess.com, click on that contact page, send me a message. I look forward to hearing from you. And don't forget, I think you know by now, don't forget to live your true life.